Tonight, the UN has ordered Japan to stop whale hunting in Antarctica. The reason they were hunting and why they had to stop, coming up.
Speaking of cold places, guess what animated Disney movie just set a record? It won't be easy to let this one go.
Later, it gets even colder as a blizzard takes over North Dakota. We have updates on that and a recap of today's latest taste of spring.
Welcome to our live MCTV News update. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Dylan Gordon.
And I'm Bonnie Orr. We've got a lot to cover tonight, so sit back as we take you across the world and around the block. Trade between Africa and China has surpassed $200 billion this year, making China Africa's biggest trading provider. Up from just $10 billion in the year 2000, these trade flows are helping Africa's development tremendously. They are creating local job opportunities for some of the poorest countries and will help drive economic growth and reduce poverty. China has continued to expand their trade flows in other developing countries such as Brazil, India, and Russia. They are hopeful that they can help end poverty through trading with these countries.
After 9/11, there was the push for the Saudi government to stop circulating Saudi Arabian school textbooks that featured hateful messages about Christians and Jews. Today, many of these textbooks are still in use and have even spread to other countries such as Britain. Recently, there have been reports of Saudi school children studying textbooks that state Christians and Jews are, quote, the worst humans who will dwell in hellfire. Many in Congress are questioning why the Saudi government has taken over a decade to fulfill their promise. There is hope that the spread of prejudice can be further stopped by the elimination of these hateful texts.
On a lighter note, growing up, we all read the book Everyone Poops. Well, turns out some people have fancier trips to the bathroom than others. A German-designed roll of toilet paper is being sold for about 150 euros. That's about $200 per roll. The reason it's so expensive? It's embossed with 24-karat gold. The designer of the TP is Fritz Leubel, who also started the company Tissue Design. The bathroom tissue can be shipped anywhere in the world and can even be customized to the buyer's liking with initials or maybe even an animal. Talk about flushing your money down the toilet.
I thought it was ridiculous whenever you watch cartoons and you'd see people talk about using like paper money to wipe themselves. This is ridiculous, though.
That's essentially what they're doing, though. I mean, gold.
I always thought it was like just a myth that people would do. It's just doesn't make sense to me.
Me neither.
The Turkish Prime Minister is claiming victory for his party in local elections. He says the ruling Justice and Development Party has a strong lead after Sunday's municipal polls. His government has been under fire in a corruption probe, and the vote is seen largely as a test of his support. CNN's Ivan Watson has the details.
The results are in, and in the words of Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan, he just delivered an Ottoman slap to his opponents. Candidates from his ruling AK Party won by a comfortable margin, improving on an electoral winning streak Erdogan has enjoyed since 2002. This was the first time Turks have gone to the polls since anti-Erdogan protests erupted in Istanbul last summer, and since police launched a corruption investigation that implicated top officials in Erdogan's cabinet. But scandals and unrest clearly haven't shaken the faith of Erdogan's many supporters.
Bu seçim Türkiye'nin kaderidir.
This election determines the future of Turkey. We must stand strong. We must stand straight. We must stand big. For that reason, AK Party must always win.
Voters cast ballots on Sunday for the mayors of Turkish cities and towns, but it felt like far more was at stake here.
Look how closely the vote count is being scrutinized in this polling station. There are far more election observers than you'd expect in what's supposed to be a local election. And I have to say that the mood in these polling stations is rather tense.
Some election observers, ordinary voters, worried about cheating.
Have you ever watched a vote count before in a Turkish election?
First time. This first one, to watch the vote.
And why this time?
Because our freedom is in danger, I guess. And I'm really afraid.
In the last week and a half, the government has shut down Twitter and YouTube, and some fear Erdogan's crackdown could now go further.
Well, that's, I think, the question that all of us will focus on. Now, he's been saying throughout the campaign that this was a referendum for himself, for his party, and that if he were to actually gain a mandate from the people, that there would be a crackdown. But what Turkey needs after the elections is reconciliation, rather than the kind of crackdown that some people fear.
The most popular politician in Turkey says he wants to be a leader for the entire Turkish population. The question some are now asking, how will this prime minister now treat the millions of Turks who voted against him?
With the weather finally warming back up, climate change experts are warning that the time is running out to reverse the effects of global warming. The United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change released a statement yesterday urging us to start curbing the effects of greenhouse emissions as soon as possible. Along with melting ice caps intensifying weather, the panel said that there is an increasing threat to coastal regions where the sea level and acidity of the water is rising. Coral reefs and fish are dying in extraordinary numbers, causing some species to go extinct. Scientists are also reporting that the release of organic matter that was frozen in the Arctic soil into the air. This matter is mixing with greenhouse gases and furthering the effects of global warming.
Speaking of the United Nations, their International Court of Justice ruled on Monday that the Japanese could not continue with their annual whale hunt this season. Several environmental groups stepped up to defend the rights of the whales, causing the court to reject the claims that the Japanese were hunting the whales for scientific purposes. The Japanese have been exploiting a loophole in the international law that states that mammals can be killed in the interest of science. It was the Australian government who challenged the actions of Japan, which ultimately led to the decision that was made.
In the search for the missing Malaysian flight, new evidence has been added, even more questions to the increasingly mysterious accident. Malaysia's Transport Ministry confirmed that on Monday that the final words heard from the M370's cockpit were, quote, "Good night, Malaysian 370, contradicting the earlier report that had been, quote, "All right, good night." Many see this as insignificant, but it is bringing up major concerns about the way that officials have been handling the incident. The Australian naval search was unable to uncover any evidence on the ocean floor yesterday, and are now concerned that the batteries on the plane's locator will run out before they can find it.
I can't believe that we still haven't found this thing.
Seriously, you would think that in this day and age that they would be able to find a plane in the middle of the ocean, but it's nowhere to be found.
I find it kind of creepy too, that last quote that they found saying, like, "Good night, Malaysian 370, that seems a little creepy to me.
I know, it's almost extraterrestrial.
I know. I can't think of anything.
The weirdest part about it is that they've been uncovering pieces from the bottom of the ocean around that area, but they have nothing to do with plane matter.
It's very odd that they haven't found, like, actual pieces of the plane. You're right, yeah.
I know. It's almost like that movie War of the Worlds.
I totally agree.
They put things in underground and they're trying to trick us,
Possibly,
you think?
yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
It's freaking me out, but I really hope soon that we find this plane.
Me too.
Otherwise, they could come out with a new show just like Lost.
That would be pretty cool, actually.
I don't know about you, but I don't want to fly in the Indian Ocean anytime soon.
Neither do I. On a lighter note, today's weather in Poughkeepsie was beautiful. For all your weather here and around the world, we go to Kelsey Bradley with your weekly highs and lows report.
Thanks, guys. I hope everyone had a wonderful week back at Marist. It might technically be spring, but it sure doesn't feel like it. At least this week's precipitation was just rain and not snow. Before we get into local weather here in Poughkeepsie, let's take a look at what's been happening around the world. Northern Europe has turned hazy with Saharan dust filling the air this past week. Saharan red dust is often dragged up from Africa into northern Europe, as you can see here. Europeans fear that this could develop into the world's next dust bowl. People are left only to wait for rain to knock the dust down, but even then, the dust is damaging. The massive landslide of mud, trees, and rocks in rural Washington has officially killed at least 27 people, critically injuring several others and destroying homes. As of Sunday, officials say 30 people remain missing in the wreckage. Rescue workers continue to search for the debris. In the West, March has ended with one last snowstorm. A blizzard stretched from Nebraska to western and central South Dakota and much of North Dakota and Minnesota through yesterday and today. Looking at the Northeast, the region finally is able to enjoy some dry, warmer weather. Earlier this week, the highs reached the 50s in central New York and much of Massachusetts, and up to the 60s from western New York and Pennsylvania across the mid-Atlantic. Here in the Hudson Valley, it looks as though it might finally be time to put away those heavy coats for good. As you can see today, the record high was in the 80s, which, after the winter that we've been going through, I can only dream of something like that. But otherwise, we seem to land into the pretty normal day for April 1st, and I'm pretty happy with the warm weather, and I'm sure everyone out there is too. For tonight, expect cool temperatures with a low of 37. For tomorrow, expect warmer weather similar to today, but watch out for rain showers in the afternoon and evening. Looking toward the end of the week, it seems like the first warm and sunny weekend Marist has had in a while. With a few possible showers Friday, we can look forward to a high of 59 degrees on Saturday and lots of sun. Sunday and Monday look to be in the mid-50s and a bit cloudy. But don't worry, Red Foxes, it seems like Marist Beach is right around the corner. That's all I have for tonight. With your weekly highs and lows report, I'm Kelsey Bradley. Back to you guys.
Great report. Did you wear flip-flops today? I did.
I wanted to wear some today, but it was still a little bit cold for flip-flops.
Yeah, I took the risk. I feel like once you take them out of the closet, you got to keep them out. And that's my favorite part. Well, we're going to take a short break, but we'll be right back with Andrew Auger and the latest in entertainment and movie news. Stay tuned.
I guess this is it.
You promised to call?
I promise. Hey, Dad.
Hey, Kelsey, how's school?
Everything's great. I really like my classes. There's so many clubs and activities to choose from. I think I'd like to study abroad. I was accepted for an internship in New York City. I can't believe I'm graduating.
My name is Brittany, and I'm a freshman at Marist College. It was one of my first weeks on campus, and some friends and I decided to go out. After a few hours, thinking nothing of it, I decided to leave early. That night, I was brutally attacked because I decided to leave the bar alone. It took one night, one bad decision that would create pain for a lifetime.
Welcome back. The internet was abuzz this past Wednesday when rumors emerged of a reboot of the Indiana Jones series. The iconic franchise was recently acquired by Walt Disney Pictures, and unidentified sources stated that the company was planning to move in a different direction with the franchise, which included potentially hiring Bradley Cooper in the role. Those sources turned out to be false, but it's given how the industry is so willing to rehash existing products, one can only imagine that it's only a matter of time before that type of gossip becomes reality. Speaking of beloved cinematic icons, this year marks the 75th anniversary of the creation of Batman. A website launched on Thursday with the URL batman75.com that will serve as the center of all news regarding the Caped Crusader in this historic year. Highlights include the celebration of Batman Day on July 23rd and the release of the highly anticipated video game Batman Arkham Knight. Continuing the theme of popular franchises is news regarding the wizarding world of Harry Potter. Author J.K. Rowling has been seen working with executives on the script for the spin-off series titled Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Warner Brothers recently announced that the films are being planned as a trilogy, which will take place about 70 years before the Harry Potter films and feature a protagonist named Newt Scamander. No release date has been disclosed. Moving on to films that you can see now, Noah made waves at the box office this past weekend, grossing an estimated $44 million. Coming in second was young adult phenomenon Divergent with $27 million, followed by family film Muppets Most Wanted with over $11 million. My recommendation this week is Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel. It's a delightfully bizarre, star-studded mix of comedy and mystery from one of the most distinctive directors working today. However, I can acknowledge that the film isn't for everyone, So if my description doesn't sound appealing to you, I suggest you save your money and wait for the highly anticipated Captain America: The Winter Soldier. That film hits theaters this coming Friday. Well, that wraps up entertainment this week. I'm Andrew Auger. That's all I have to say. We'll be right back.
Hi everyone, welcome to FAC.
When should I be expecting you? 15 minutes? I'll be ready.
Imagine being forced to reinvent yourself after 18 years. In her freshman year of college, this is what Ryan Farrell had to do. Ryan suffered a head injury while practicing with the cheerleading team. We hear about the victims of head injuries a lot nowadays, especially with the increasing fatality rate due to repeated concussions in professional sports. But today, we're not here to talk to a victim. We're here to talk to a survivor. Welcome, Ryan. Please tell us your story.
Thank you so much, Allie. I really appreciate you taking the time to really focus on head injuries. The month of March is actually Brain Injury Awareness Month, so came just one day after that month.
A little too late, but
that's okay. That's okay. We're carrying it over into April, so that works out well.
So could you just explain to us what happened in your accident?
Okay. Well. It was a cheerleading accident. I was one of the bases, so one of the girls on the bottom holding up the flyer in the air. And long story short, I was struck by my flyer who fell out of the set in a weird way, and I didn't receive the proper medical attention when I should have. So that day, about 20 minutes or so after the initial hit, I was rushed right across the street to St. Francis Hospital, and there had to be an emergency brain surgery performed on me. I was in the ICU for 1 month, 2 weeks of which I was in a medically induced coma. I started responding to minimal commands the day after my 19th birthday on May 1st. So happy birthday to me. I'm back. And then on May 18th, I was transferred to Spalding Rehabilitation Hospital in Boston to begin all of my inpatient physical, occupational, and speech therapies.
Well, I mean, obviously you've made a recovery that's a miracle. I think that we're all definitely inspired by your story.
Thank you.
I know that you came in to Marist in 2009, right?
Yes, correct.
So this is actually your senior year,
Yes, it is.
which a lot of people with brain injuries can't really say that they've gone to classes at the collegiate level and been able to get their degree. I just want to know what challenges you really faced coming this far.
Okay, well, I've faced a lot of challenges, including the most prominent challenge, which has been my short-term memory. As many people know, that's the biggest thing that which suffers as a result of TBI. So my short-term memory, my planning and organizational skills, just any of the, and away from just the cognitive things, physically as well. I suffered from very severe ataxia, which is uncontrollable shaking. And of course, because the injury was on the left side of my brain, it affected the right side of my body. And wouldn't you have it, I'm a righty, of course.
Of course.
It's just how it always works out, right?
There's actually a TED Talk that's going viral right now. A woman who shakes on stage and the audience goes wild, but it's not what you think. And she has cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
And she's going after her dream of being a comedian and everything. And I know that you want to be an anchor on Good Morning America.
Yes.
But I know that obviously you're going to have a lot of challenges. When you're faced with the idea of those challenges, what do you say to yourself?
I say to myself, I just say, okay, Ryan, you've come this far, and I will not let anything stand in my way. So I just face every challenge I'm presented with in the same manner how I've always confronted any obstacle that I ever have.
That's so great. And I know that you're part of the Think Ahead program with the Brain Injury Association of Massachusetts.
Yes.
Can you just tell us a very brief bit about that?
Yes, well, I'm a survivor speaker through that program. And what I do is I speak with groups of at-risk teens and young adults. It could be anything from the programs you always have before prom, like you drink, you drive, you lose kind of programs. Or the at-risk teens, they're young people who have gotten into a little bit of trouble and they have to complete these court-mandated programs. It's like a scare you straight kind of thing.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so that is one of the most fulfilling endeavors I've ever been able to.
Well, in 2009, almost 500,000 sports-related head injuries were reported. Some were only minor concussions, and others were as serious or more so than your case. It takes a special kind of strength to rise above that, and I know everyone here is inspired by your story, Ryan, so thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. If you want to help prevent and spread awareness about brain injuries through the Brain Injury Association of Massachusetts, please visit www.biama.org to make a donation. We'll be right back.
Yeah, I got the money. I'll be there soon.
We must do that which we think we cannot.
The mind is everything. What you think, you become.
It is not best that we should all think alike.
He who learns but does not think is lost.
The main purpose of life is to live rightly, think rightly, act rightly.
Oh, the things you could think up if only you try.
Live sports report. It is April 1st. Yes, it snuck up on me too, and with April comes opening day. The New York Mets hosted their home opener against the Washington Nationals yesterday. Let's jump right into the ninth inning where the action really heated up. This Mets fan was not happy with Bobby Parnell's save opportunity. After giving up a leadoff single to Ian Desmond, Parnell retired to the next two batters. He then walked Danny Espinoza to put the tying run on second base. Denard Span came up down by 1 run with 2 out, 2 on, and ripped a two-baser right over the shortstop's head to tie the game at 5 and send it to extras. After the Mets did not score in the bottom of the ninth, the Nats' bats came back up. They led off the top of the 10th with a pair of singles, and then a passed ball allowed them to both move up. Ian Desmond hits a sac fly to center field for the 6-5 lead, but they were not done yet. After Adam LaRoche walked, Anthony Redden blasted a deep fly ball for a 3-run home run and the final punch. David Wright hit a 2-run home run in the bottom of the 10th, but it was too little, too late, as the Mets fell to the Nationals 9-7. Also in action last night was the New York Knicks. They took on the Utah Jazz as they finish up a 5-game road trip. Having won 10 of the last 13 games, the Knicks entered last night a game and a half out of last playoff spot. Carmelo Anthony certainly came to play as he carried the Knicks in this one. As seen here, Anthony put up his signature celebration for hitting a 3-pointer 4 times last night. This was not a close one as the Knicks led by at least 7 points throughout the fourth quarter. The Knicks won the game 92-83 as Carmelo Anthony went off for 34 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. Now taking a look at the updated Eastern Conference standings. Even with a late push, if the Knicks do make it, they will face off against either Miami or Indiana. The Knicks have 7 games left on the season, and they are all against winning teams. Thank you for watching your live sports report with Dan the Sportsman Cohen. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Dan the Sportsman.
Wow, that definitely sounds like we're going to have a heated season for all those types of sports.
Sure, and you know, baseball is just kicking off. It's early, and it's a long season, so Yankees lost tonight 6-2 also, but hey, we can go 161-1. You know, it's early still, so we'll see.
Exactly.
Got the whole season. All right, well, yesterday wasn't all about sports. It marked the last day for U.S. citizens to enroll in Obamacare. With over 1.2 million visits through noon, the Obamacare website reached a record volume of users. While it is still questioned if most Americans approve of the new health care law, Obamacare has already received around 6 million signups from U.S. citizens. This substantial amount has been triggered by Obama's recent publicity appearance on Zach Galifianakis' comedy show Between Two Ferns, and the revamping of previously unsuccessful healthcare website.
Months after his issue regarding the George Washington Bridge, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie has set out to finally put his administrative difficulties to rest. On Friday, Christie had his first news conference since January, in which he answers questions that were flung at him regarding the so-called scandal. When asked about his involvement, Christie said, quote, "The fact of the matter is I had nothing to do with this." Christie hoped to get this problem cleared up so would not interfere with his possible running for president in 2016. Hopefully, Christie's new soul-searching will help to finally stop his avoidance of the situation.
U.S. safety regulators have issued a new rule that will require automakers to install rear visibility technology in all vehicles starting in March 2018. This is the latest move in U.S. safety regulators have made in an effort to eliminate deaths and injuries due to cars backing up. This rule will apply to all vehicles under 10,000 pounds. The agency estimates that on average 210 people are killed due to backup accidents and that other 15,000 suffer an injury each year. About 1/3 of the deaths that occur are children under 5.
Newly published research suggests that maybe we should think twice before reaching out for our favorite diet drink. According to Women's Initiative, observational study, regular consumption of diet beverages may have caused an increased risk of heart diseases in postmenopausal women. Women who consume 2 or more diet drinks a day also show increased risk of diabetes, high blood pressure, and higher BMIs than women who drink diet beverages in moderation. While there isn't enough evidence that should make you give up these drinks entirely, it is a little bit of food or drink for thought.
That's very interesting. I mean, I go with the idea that if something has the word diet in it, I usually don't eat it or drink it.
Yeah, I've never been one for like Diet Coke or anything like that. There's just a lot of chemicals in there, and I want to stay away from all that.
Exactly. Like if I can't read it, I don't want to eat it.
Exactly.
According to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, more measles cases have been reported in the U.S. in the first 2 months of 2014 than during the same months over the past decade. It's popping up all across the country, mostly in New York City and California. That doesn't mean it's restricted to those areas. Authorities say the main cause is travel and people not taking precautions. Carl A. Zeus with today's Health Minute.
Like other viruses, measles can spread through the air, so anyone who has it and sneezes or coughs can pass it on. It's so contagious that those who are not immune and are exposed will more than likely develop a case quickly. So what should we know about measles? Here are a few answers courtesy of the CDC. How to prevent measles. Doctors say get vaccinated. Adults who can't remember if they were vaccinated as a child should be vaccinated again. Infants 6 months through 11 months old should have 1 dose of measles vaccine. Little ones in the U.S. usually receive a measles vaccine at 12 to 15 months of age. Infants who were vaccinated before 12 months should be revaccinated around their first birthday with 2 doses at least 28 days apart. How can you tell if you have measles? Look for a rash that usually begins on the trunk and spreads all over your body. A good case of measles can include fever, runny nose, cough, and watery eyes. Measles can cause serious illness, even death. I do a lot of traveling. Should I be cautious? Yes. If you travel, definitely make sure you are vaccinated. Measles is still a common disease in Europe, Asia, Africa, and the Pacific region. According to the CDC, so far this year, there have been more U.S. travelers returning from the Philippines with measles than any other destination. So be cautious and reduce the chances of bringing an unwanted bug back to the U.S. For today's Health Minute, I'm Carl Azus.
A hammerhead shark gave a Florida college student the ride of his life when it dragged the student nearly 12 miles up the Atlantic coast. 22-year-old Adam Fisk of Florida Atlantic University took his kayak out on a Sunday for a fishing trip when the shark took his bait and pulled him along for a 2-hour ride. Fisk took out his camera and managed to capture the entire experience on video, which he later posted on YouTube. Fortunately, Fisk came out of the ordeal unharmed.
According to Walt Disney Studios, Disney's Frozen is officially the highest-grossing animated film in box office history. Since the movie's release last year, it has made $380 million at domestic box offices, while earning an additional $674 million at foreign box offices. The previous animated film to receive this title was Disney's Toy Story 3, released in 2010. Frozen has been in the top 10 films on box office charts for more than 3 months and is now the 10th highest grossing film in movie history.
Well, that's crazy. Have you seen Frozen?
I have.
It's an amazing movie.
It really
I love
is.
it.
I didn't think I would like it because I'm not one for animated films, but this one had me laughing so hard.
I saw it with my family, and the entire time we were laughing hysterically, and it was just the songs in it were just so good.
I know. I really, really liked it.
Me
Disney
too.
just keeps coming out with
I know,
great
they
movies.
just keep giving more and more.
Yeah.
Well, coming up, the latest news affecting the Marist campus.
We'll be right back.
Why should people watch the other half? Phenomenal question.
We really get down to the issues.
Oh! Now, it's trendy, it's hilarious.
It's something that every college student can relate to.
It gets very provocative.
It's really great to see what the opposite sex thinks about things.
Real men don't do that, alright? You gotta start seeing some real men.
Okay! You know, there's some times where Rob and I have a little bit of a disagreement on subjects. Final thought.
Oh my god. I look jacked.
No. We do episodes on fashion, sports, text translation, first dates.
It's just an international sensation that this show is going to be sweeping the nation.
It's a fiasco.
Really, every college student in the world should be watching this show.
Low 5. No.
Over winter break, 3 Marist students earned professional certificates. Sabrina Colon, Peter Romano, and Bryce Crumlish are now certified in the Media Composer, the world's most popular film and editing application. They completed the certification process while taking a week of full-day non-credit classes that ended with an exam. The students may now use the Avid logo on their business cards, resumes, and personal web pages. Jeff Bass, Marist resident Avid certified instructor, hopes that the number will increase at the end of the spring semester when there will be another certification session.
Remember trick-or-treating with those little orange UNICEF boxes? The organization is now taking on a new mission using the internet. Tap is the New Black is a program that Marist College held to help raise awareness about water safety and access for third world countries. MCTV's Abby Prowant has the story.
event in the cabaret called Tap is the New Black. Let's go check and see what it's all about.
On Thursday, March 27th, students gathered at the cabaret to give back to UNICEF in a different way. Instead of using social media to help raise money, students went without their phones. UNICEF has made a new website where every 10 minutes of staying off phones helps give water to countries in need. Once the app was activated, everyone put their phones aside and socialized, letting the internet do all of the work.
And these people did an excellent job on social media getting the word out.
As Devin explains, a lack of water isn't the only problem nations face.
And these bottles, twice the size of Texas, floating in the North Pacific. There's one in the South Pacific, there's one in the Indian Ocean.
Instead of texting friends or playing Candy Crush, food was provided for everyone who attended. Tap is the New Black, a senior capping project, has allowed students to learn more about our planet's most abundant resource without even picking up their phones.
This has been Abby Pront from MCTV News. Now back to the studio.
Another Marist event getting attention this week is the Red Fox Den's Unity Week. Each day, students wore different colors to represent different Marist communities, such as faith and sexuality. The week culminated with Love and Unity is a Love is Unity panel. Various club presidents spoke openly about why they love their club and how it relates to the communities we are a part of. Listen to what some of the speakers had to say.
So well, and it was so amazing what people had to say, and I think that's such an important aspect that students, we don't really get the chance to. We don't say what's on our mind.
Getting involved in clubs, it honestly has made me grow so much as a person, and I love just advocating for clubs because they've impacted my life so much and have helped me grow in so many different ways that I want to be the person that can help all the freshmen on campus that are going through that typical really rough transition period from being a high schooler to a college student.
Another Red Fox Den is a community that provides alternative late-night activities and promotes campus unity. For more information, you can find Red Fox Den on Facebook.
Have you ever thought it would be fun to dig up some kind of ancient artifact? Well, for one 14-year-old boy in Salt Lake City, this came true. While digging a trout pond in his backyard, Ali Erturk stumbled upon the bones of an American Indian from 1,000 years ago. You never know what you're going to find in your own backyard.
That's frightening.
I know, I'd be kind of scared. I think it's pretty cool, if I were to find dinosaur bones in my backyard,
yeah.
But just actually the thing.
A human.
That's just.
You think he found an arm bone first, or just the skull?
He did. Yeah, I think he found an arm bone, and there were more bones around that, buried around it.
Gosh.
It's kind of scary.
Imagine just the face in your backyard.
I could just imagine.
Yikes. Well, that's all we have for you tonight, Marist. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Bonnie Orr.
And I'm Dylan Gordon. Until next time, stay foxy, Marist.